Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rattle and Numb Live, episode number 4. I'm John Burroughs, the Ohio Beat Poet Laureate, and in this series, as you probably know, I'll read one poem from my latest book, Rattle and Numb, Selected and New Poems 1992 to 2019, and then I will discuss it a little bit, perhaps, and then maybe read it a second time. Not the first poem I'm going to read, the only poem I'm going to read this afternoon, is the fourth poem in the book, and it is entitled Bloodshot. Indian summer sun squints, bloodshot, like the wide, wounded eyes of my cynical Seneca ancestors. On and anon, an endless queue of unrelenting conquistadors lusting for booty or bust, defile our trust and defame the name of God in the name of God. Opportunity does not knock for trusting tribesmen, be we from Arizona, the Amazon, Africa, or Akron, Ohio. Riding roughshod over every allegedly endless empire, including America, the beautifully dutiful. The cursed hearse of history leads a parade of pathetic and unsympathetic plotters, plodders, priests, and presidents, electable eels who feel their forked tongues and dung make them agents of distinction instead of extinction. Sweetly sighing lullabies of liberty and expediency, these leaders open their bomb bays as they pray, first for the unconditional surrender of our enemies, and last, if at all, for the bloodshot souls of the soon-to-be charred children of Hiroshima, Hanoi, Belfast, Baghdad, Belgrade, Bethlehem, New York City, and coming soon to a theater of war near you. So that was Bloodshot. But it wasn't always that poem. In 1992 is when I began writing it. And at that time, it had a title, or a body for that matter. I'm not going to go into that whole story now because, the poem has totally evolved into something else since then. But I'll read you a bit of the 1992 early cringy version that Bloodshot had evolved out of in 2008. And let me see here. So this is the 92 version. Or a body for that matter. Indian summer, red like the issue from my ancestors' wounds. On, an endless queue of unrelenting conquistadors lusting for booty, drinking of our flesh, destroy the name of God. Opportunity never knocks for Native American tribesmen. Reality is unbearable. A curse on American history, peopled with all sorts of English and Spanish-speaking Adolf Hitlers. Oh, isn't it they who dare judge the innocent of Hiroshima? Under vermilion skies I hear them cry until I am livid. Deutschland über alles. Well, anyway, so that was, where the 1992 version was, which is just, kind of an immature rant. It had made some good points, but the poem obviously needed work. So I found the old 92 journal in 2008, when I was starting to go to a lot of open mics and looking for new material, writing new poems, but also thinking, maybe I have something in these old journals that I can turn into a good poem. So I had dug that out. And in 2008, debuted the new revised version, which at the time was called Rapists. Rapists, as it was published in 2008 in my first chapbook, Bloggerel, was pretty much the same poem as Bloodshot, except it was missing the last few lines. So it ended with, last, if at all, for the bloodshot souls of the soon-to-be charred children of Hiroshima and Hanoi. So it ended there. It was published. But then a couple months later, I was like, it doesn't feel finished to me. I wasn't sure whether I should leave off the Hiroshima and Hanoi, or maybe add some more cities to it to show that this isn't just an Asian phenomenon. It's not just the Asians being persecuted. It's not just Native Americans being persecuted. This is a broader human problem that's still happening today. So after it was published, I added the last few lines. Children of Hiroshima, Hanoi, Belfast, Belgrade, Baghdad, Bethlehem, and coming soon to a theater of war near you. And so in the second edition of Bloggerel, which came out in 2009, I changed the title to Bloodshot and added those few lines. I think Bloodshot was a better title for it. But sometimes, a title doesn't come to you right away. I don't write titles and then write the poem. I mean, I did that in 1992, and I didn't get a good title. I think the poem has to be perfect in and of itself, and then, in most cases, is when I come up with the title, which not only either sums it up but puts a new slant on it, or creates an expectation that maybe it's hard to say. But I think the best titles, at least my best titles, I can't speak for other authors, come after the poem is complete. So in this case, it was, how many years, 17 years before I came up with the right title, Bloodshot, and it stayed that way since 2009. I will say, too, that at the time I wrote this, I had been raised, told that, we had Native American ancestry. YouTube is telling me my connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. So maybe you won't hear some of this, but I was raised believing we had Native American ancestry. One of my great-grandmothers was full-blooded Cherokee or whatever. And then I got DNA tested in 21st century and, came to learn that maybe the story was a little more complicated than that. Yes, there's a very minuscule amount of Native American ancestry according to my DNA profile. I forget exactly what, maybe 0.3%, but there's also like 0.6% of African ancestry. And apparently a lot of these people, like my family, if there was African ancestor, because of a slave being raped by a master or, something else, way back when, later generations would try to conceal the African blood and say, oh, well, we were Native American. So, but I had both in my family, in my DNA, so I'm not really sure what the hell. But when I began writing this poem, I didn't know any of that. I just knew the story had been told that I was, part Native American. And so I was writing from that perspective, like being outraged at what was done to my people, or, who I perceived as my people, and also saying, this isn't just happening to Native Americans, this is happening to all sorts of people all over the world throughout history, And sadly, it's still happening in sometime today. So it became a broader statement in the final version. I don't know why I'm rambling on like this. There's a lot I could say about this poem, but I've kept you for 10 minutes, and I appreciate you listening. And I think I'll leave it at that. Let me read it one more time. It's Bloodshot. Indian summer sun squints, bloodshot like the wide, wounded eyes of my cynical Seneca ancestors. On and anon, an endless queue of unrelenting conquistadors lusting for booty or bust, defile our trust and defame the name of God in the name of God. Opportunity does not knock for trusting tribesmen, be we from Arizona, the Amazon, Africa, or Akron, Ohio. Writing roughshod over every allegedly endless empire, including America, the dutifully beautiful, the cursed hearse of history, leads a parade of pathetic and unsympathetic plotters, plodders, priests, and presidents, electable eels who feel their forked tongues and dung make them agents of distinction instead of extinction, sweetly sighing lullabies of liberty and expediency. These leaders open their bomb bays as they pray, first for the unconditional surrender of our enemies, and last, if at all, for the bloodshot souls of the soon-to-be charred children of Hiroshima, Hanoi, Belfast, Baghdad, Belgrade, Bethlehem, New York City, and coming soon to a theater of war near you.